air, water, smoke, blood. They are all fluids. Every second, these fluids move around us, following the laws of physics. But a computer does not actually see fluids. It only understands numbers. So the first thing a CFD solver does is divide the world into tiny cells. Then it solves the laws of physics, one tiny cell at a time. In this series, we are going to build that solver ourselves. Let's begin with something familiar. A pipe carrying fluid. The fluid is continuously moving from left to right. But a computer cannot store an infinite amount of information. Instead, it divides the pipe into small computational cells. Each cell becomes one small storage location. Inside that cell, the computer stores physical quantities such as velocity, pressure, or temperature. Repeat this process for every cell, and the computer now has a numerical representation of the entire flow. This simple idea is the foundation of every CFD solver. Now that we've divided the pipe into computational cells, an important question remains. What exactly is stored inside one of these cells? It is tempting to imagine that each cell contains a tiny piece of water. But that is not how CFD works. Instead, the computer stores properties. For example, velocity, pressure, temperature, density, or any other quantity required by the governing equations. You can think of every computational cell as a tiny memory location that stores several physical variables. Repeat this for every computational cell, and the computer now has a numerical description of the entire flow field. At its core, every CFD solver repeatedly updates these stored numbers according to the laws of physics. Imagine 7 neighboring computational cells. Suppose every cell stores its own velocity. Let's focus on the center cell. Can this cell update its value using only the information stored inside itself? The answer is no. To predict what happens next, the computer must also know what is happening in the neighboring cells. Information continuously travels between neighboring cells. By comparing neighboring values, the solver discovers how the flow is changing from one location to another. This simple comparison is the foundation of every numerical method in computational fluid dynamics. In mathematics, a flowing quantity is described as a continuous function. Every point along this curve has a slightly different value. But computers cannot store infinitely many points. Instead, they keep only a limited number of samples. Each sample becomes one computational cell. Instead of storing a curve, the solver stores numbers. Now compare 2 neighboring cells. Their difference tells us how rapidly the flow changes between those 2 locations. In calculus, we call this idea a derivative. Every numerical method begins with this simple idea. So far, our computational grid has been frozen in time. Each cell already stores a velocity value. This represents the flow at one instant in time. Now the solver wants to predict what happens a tiny moment later. Every cell receives a new value. This simple cycle is repeated thousands, sometimes millions, of times until the entire simulation is complete. Our solver already knows the current value inside every computational cell. But one question still remains. To predict the future, every CFD solver needs a mathematical rule. The simplest rule is called the one-dimensional advection equation. The first term tells us how the quantity changes with time. The second term describes transport from one location to another. Together, these two terms determine how every value should be updated. Our governing equation contains derivatives. Let's focus on just the spatial derivative. Suppose we give this equation directly to a computer. The computer has no built-in understanding of derivatives. But it does understand numbers. It can compare neighboring cells. So instead of evaluating a derivative directly, the computer approximates it using neighboring values. This simple replacement is the beginning of every finite difference solver. Let's return to something familiar, the slope of a graph. Suppose we know the value at two neighboring locations. The horizontal distance between them is called delta x. Their difference in value is delta u. Slope is simply change divided by distance. In a computational grid, delta u becomes the difference between neighboring cell values. This is called the backward finite difference approximation of the derivative. There is no mystery here. The derivative has become a simple ratio of two neighboring values separated by a known distance. Our finite difference equation is now ready to become computer code. The numerator simply subtracts two neighboring values. The denominator divides by the spacing between those cells. Python performs exactly the same calculation. Notice how every mathematical symbol has a direct Python equivalent. Cell values become array elements, and delta x becomes a normal variable. The computer simply reads neighboring array values, performs subtraction, divides by the grid spacing, and stores the result. There is no hidden magic. Only arithmetic on neighboring cells. This is the bridge between mathematics and programming. Every CFD solver is built on this idea. Let's combine everything we have learned into one complete algorithm. Every CFD solver follows these same steps. First, build the computational grid. Next, read information from neighboring cells. Then compute spatial derivatives. Update every variable. Finally, advance to the next time step. The simulation simply repeats this cycle over and over again. In Python, this entire process becomes a loop. Everything starts with a time loop. Compute the derivatives. Update every cell. Advance to the next instant in time. Whether the software contains 100 lines of code or 1 million, every CFD solver is built on this simple idea.